TFA 1024, where your entertainment will be transformed!
Transformers.
Maximize! Maximize! Maximize!
Ball weep Grogno, weep Ninny Bong TF addicts, and welcome to
Maximize!
The Hype. This is a little web series based on all the news that more so interest me about Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And with last night's reveals, holy crap, we got a lot to talk about. But before we begin, please consider subscribing if you're new to the channel and hit that bell so you can be notified as to when I can transform your entertainment one day at a time. Alright, enough promotion. Let's talk giant transforming alien robots. So we've already gotten a glimpse of him in the trailer because of course we have, but now we have official control art and more so promotional art for the one and only leader of the Autobots, Optimus Prime. And I will say it is a slight improvement from what we got in the 2018 Bumblebee movie, but it's still not my favorite Optimus design. I mean, unless I look at it and be like, oh, it's like a mix of like live action G1 IDW, but I'm more accustomed to the evasion mode Optimus Prime. Don't at me, that's just my preference. I'm not saying it's a bad design, it's just not my cup of tea. But I still like it nonetheless, and the truck mode looks pretty aggressive with that bull bar in the front. Next up, you know him, you love him, he's Hasbro's little yellow cash cow and my mom's favorite character, Bumblebee. Which is interesting because they continue to promote him with his 1976 Camaro look, as opposed to the off-road upgrade that we see in the trailer and pretty much with all of his toys. Maybe they feel like keeping the wraps under why he gets the upgrade later, but for some reason, for promotional sake, obviously they have to do it with that new look. It's a head scratcher, but hey, what else is new? That's the world of the Transformers marketing. Next up, we have everyone's favorite fembot, well, unless you like Elita 1 more. Arcee, returning from Transformers Bumblebee in 2018, and even making a return from Revenge of the Fallen. She's been getting a lot of love recently. And I love her design. Again, we've seen this in action partially. I can't wait to see how she's going to transform in the film. But I love the Energon design aesthetic that they have for her, with the two wheels on the back, the color scheme being this nice kind of like darkish red, while still having some accents of white to be more accurate towards her character. And come on, you gotta love the 1986 little visor that she had in the one scene in the movie. Which it seems like the promo art is apparently abandoning to give her two proper optics, but of course that's just promotional art, so maybe she'll have two proper optics in the film, maybe she'll just have the battle mask as a battle mask. And speaking of battle masks, it seems like our new child appeal character, Mirage, is going to be sporting a new battle mask based on this promo art. Now again, this is just promotional art. This is art that is most likely going to be used for the toy promotion, for posters, and other merchandise. But keep in mind that so far every character in this movie that we've seen, Optimus, Bumblebee, and Arcee, have had some form of a battle mask. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that Mirage is going to have a battle mask, or even Wheeljack might have a battle mask. We'll have to wait and see. But from everything that we witnessed with Mirage in the trailers and the Super Bowl TV spot, I'm really liking this design. It is unfortunate that he's no longer an F1 race car, but of course, street legality and everything, they can't exactly allow that vehicle on the road. So him being a Porsche 911 actually makes a lot more sense, and it weirdly works. It would have been nice if it was Jazz, but this is the live-action movies we're talking about. And speaking of controversial designs that a lot of fans are not happy about, we finally get our first official look at Wheeljack. And I will be one of the few to probably say this. I really like this design. I mean, I can fully understand people being upset with this and kind of having like a Sonic the Hedgehog fit over it because it isn't Wheeljack, but me personally, as someone who grew up with Transformers Armada and had to accept the fact that the orange crane Autobot was Smokescreen, this is nothing new to me. Now let me make one thing perfectly clear. I am not defending this design whatsoever. I do think people are being a bit too harsh on it because yes, while Wheeljack is mainly a race car, again, street legality and everything is a thing, but people fail to understand the personality of the character stands out a lot more than the design. And the whole point of Wheeljack is he is the Autobot inventor. He is the Donatello of the Autobots, basically. So to have him turn into a TV repair van while looking like a complete nerd in robot mode with dorky glasses and seatbelt suspenders, I think is perfect. I'd also like to point everyone's attention towards Wheeljack's head, as there seems to be quite a bit of gappage on each side. And as I mentioned with battle masks, I'm still under the impression that those goggles will become his ears, and he'll have a more defined G1 mouth plate. Because if you look at his mouth on the design, it is somewhat segmented, sort of similar to his G1 design, and of course similar to his Bumblebee design. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched if he does have a G1 style battle mask, considering we see him in the final battle in the Rise of the Beast teaser trailer. So I would suggest before, basically banishing this thing to hell, give it a shot. Wait until we see what it can do. Wait until we see what it's gonna look like, more defined. And also, let's give the voice actor a chance too, because unfortunately Steve Blum is not reprising the role as Wheeljack, and I feel like it was only a cameo thing anyway. But again, I like this design. Not defending it, just expressing my likeness towards it. Now, this is a character that's been rumored for a while, and a lot of people were unsure if he was actually going to show up in the film or not. But we also did get a Commander class leaked listing for this character. We finally got our first look at STRATOSPHERE. And I don't know what it is about live-action films turning old planes into even older-looking Cybertronians, but the fact that it happened twice is just really weird. Actually, 3 times if you consider Lieutenant from The Last Night. I mean, I like it. I kind of really always enjoyed the idea of, old vehicles being ancient Cybertronians or old Cybertronians. Maybe STRATOSPHERE is one of the old Seekers from Revenge of the Fallen. Maybe, I don't know, he was just old. And it is a nice shift from him being a traditional C-17 cargo plane to now being a C-119 flying boxcar. In fact, I feel like that's the most practical vehicle mode he could have chosen. At least for a movie that's taking place in the 1990s, considering the fact that the C-17 Globemaster wasn't officially manufactured until 1993. I could be wrong on that, so commenters on aviation, please feel free to let me know respectfully down in the comments. I would really appreciate the feedback. I also just hope that this character gets a Commander class toy like that leaked listing said, because good God, I want a toy of this. And I'm also really excited for his voice actor, considering it's John DiMaggio, the same dude who has provided voices for Leadfoot in Dark of the Moon, Ground Pounder in Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015, and Crosshairs in Age of Extinction and The Last Night. I'm really eager to hear how STRATOSPHERE's voice is going to be, considering the rumor is that he's gonna sound Scottish, kind of like the Scotsman from Samurai Jack, and if that is the case, I am all for it. Before we continue on to our favorite beasts and baddies for this movie, let's go ahead and take a brief break and hear a word from, well, not a sponsor per se, but more so something that I want to promote that I've had the fortunate pleasure of being part of. We'll be right back.
Transformers Weekly is your best source for the previous week's top Transformers news and related segments. Its staff is made up of a dedicated multinational team of reviewers. Check out Transformers Weekly today on YouTube.
TFormers is the ultimate Transformers fan news site. From industry news, user reviews, to staff features, TFormers is your source for everything in the Transformers fandom. Check out TFormers' website today at tformers.com.
Do you like Transformers? Do you like toys? Do you like reviews? Then you will like HNE Toys. Here are some testimonials.
HNE Toys is a channel on YouTube.
I know the guy that runs HNE Toys.
You cannot ignore positive comments like those. Get your noodle over to HNE Toys on YouTube and subscribe today.
Transformers.
So we took a look at the Autobots, now it's time to take a look at our Beast Boys and Girl, the Maximals. And what would the Maximals be without their heroic leader, Optimus Primal? Which is crazy to say because this is the first time the Maximals are going to be on the big screen. And oh my god, what a beautiful design for Optimus Primal. Very faithful to the original Beast Wars design, but still giving it that live-action movie flair. And it works so well. It's also pretty cool to mention that it seems to be partially inspired from that cancelled TLK concept art that never got to see the light of day. And I love how he has the swords! It's just such a really cool touch. They didn't have to go that far into the design, but they did, and it is very much appreciated. And I kinda hope he doesn't just have that mouth plate as part of his design. I mean, it's cool, but you know, Optimus Primal did have a mouth, so it's hard to say, but regardless, if that's the way to differentiate Prime from Primal, I'm okay with it. Now, these next handful of the looks of the Maximals aren't anything to really, you know, freak out over. It's literally just them in their beast modes, similar to how they've been promoted on their Studio Series box arts and the promotional material. So, all I really have to say is, hey, cool, robot animals. Would love to see their robot modes. I mean, don't take my dejection as anything too serious. The Maximals do look really cool, and they do look a little different compared to what we saw in the teaser trailer, but that doesn't mean they still aren't good-looking representations of the iconic characters from the 1990s cartoon. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about the Terrorcons, because we got a couple more reveals of their designs, with some that have been evading us for a little bit, and I'm super excited to talk about this. So we've seen him in the teaser trailer, now we get a better look at his rendition for promo art, which we've already seen on Studio Series box, Terrorcon leader Scourge. And I really like the design. It gives me a very Nemesis Prime meets RID 2001 Scourge look with him. I'm kind of disappointed that the rumor of him having a flaming goatee is not a thing, or at least a thing we haven't seen yet, but I really like how he turned out. I also like the little homage to IDW Tarn with, you know, Scourge just wearing the Terrorcon insignia as a mask, because I love Tarn. Moving on to our next Terrorcon, who was possibly a Decepticon, Battletrap, who he, along with Rhinox, are going to be voiced by recurring voice actor David Sobolov, who provided the voice for Blitzwing, Transformers Prime Shockwave, and Depth Charge from Beast Wars. Oh, and 2007 Brawl from the Transformers the Game. And just a little bit of a brief shout out, if you go and watch Alfonso Nation's latest video on TFCon Day 2, he actually gets to speak to David Sobolov for a little bit and asks him about what was it like to be in, like, Transformers for as long as he's been in it. And he gives us a little of an insight of how Battletrap may sound in Rise of the Beasts. Worth checking out, link in the description. Or in the card on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. But in terms of design, it's not your traditional Battletrap, obviously, because, you know, a Duocon would be kind of challenging, but, I mean, it would be cool to see a live-action Duocon. However, considering he's not necessarily a Decepticon, albeit having a Decepticon insignia on his forehead, the design works, and I really like it. I think him transforming into a tow truck is really interesting, and it's very unique. It's something that we don't get to see a lot of. I mean, the only tow truck transformer I can think of is Towline from RID 2001. So I'm curious to see what this design's going to do. We saw a little bit of what it did in action in the teaser trailer, and I'm excited to see what's in store for him. Moving on, we finally have a very clear look, or at least a general idea, of how NIGHTBIRD is going to look, and oh my god, I love her so much. She's so spiky and jaggedy, she looks like she means business. She is still very reminiscent to how she looked in the Generation 1 cartoon, albeit not really affiliated with either Autobot or Decepticon. And she is a defected Decepticon that turns to the Terrorcons, so seeing that happen is going to be very interesting. And of course, her transforming into a 1995 Nissan R33 Skyline GTR is probably one of the best fits for her, considering this is the first time she's actually going to transform. Words just fail me, man. Such a great design, a great vehicle mode, and it's so cool to see NIGHTBIRD evolve from a one-off little villain from G1 to a fully fledged Cybertronian in the future of the Transformers franchise. That's amazing. We're coming up to the home stretch, and I'm not going to talk too much about this one because there's really not too much to say, but here we have our first look at Terrorcon Freezer, which has gotten a core class toy, and normally toys do say that things like characters and events are going to happen in the movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if Freezer here ends up being those little weird drones we see in the teaser trailer. What people thought were rumored to be the Predacons, I don't think that's the case. I think Freezer is those little drones that we see in the teaser. Also, I think it's safe to say that he's based off of 2007 Frenzy, or at least inspired by him, because they have a very similar body type. Alright, this is actually pretty shocking to me because, you know, we got our first look at STRATOSPHERE and NIGHTBIRD and Wheeljack, but this is the most anticipated reveal, the most anticipated character design I've wanted to see. Decepticon Transit. Now, first and foremost, it's interesting to point out that he is promoted as a Terrorcon, which I don't think is the case, but I could be wrong. Who knows? But I remember hearing that there was going to be a bus Decepticon, and there has been a bus Decepticon in the IDW continuity, as well as the RID 2015 comics by the same name, Transit. It had a very different design, obviously. But this design is pure madness, and I love it! He very much reminds me of the original Decepticon designs that we got from movies 1 through 5, and I'm so glad that he's not like Bumblebee-fied, where he looks G1-ish, because there is no G1-ish looking bus Decepticon. Well, unless you read the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover comic. That was weird. And it's so cool that we're getting yet another Decepticon that transforms into basically like a public service vehicle, similar to how Barricade transformed into a police car, and by technicality, even though he's more of a civilian vehicle, Hooligan, I refuse to ever call him Dreadbot, how he transformed into an old hippie van in The Last Night. I am somewhat disappointed that Transit doesn't transform into like a legitimate school bus, because I think that'd be the funniest freaking thing. But the fact that he transforms into a Metro bus and is a Decepticon is somewhat even funnier, though I really would have loved to see him as a school bus. And there you have it! That is every single character that we know of from Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And this has been my very first episode of The Hype. Thank you all so much for tuning in and hanging out. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think about all the character designs down in the comment section down below. Which ones are your favorite? Which ones would you change? Which ones do you want to see as toys? Because obviously I want to see all of them, especially Transit and Stratosphere. Please, make those Studio Series figures. And before we conclude the video, please, once again, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that big red subscribe button so I can transform your entertainment one day at a time. And drop a like if you want to see more of Maximize the Hype. Let me know what you want to see from Maximize the Hype. I really want to try to make this a little web series until the release of Rise of the Beasts, which is in 77 days, or, if YouTube decides to be mean, 76 days per this recording. Regardless, thoughts, comments, feedback, everything, leave it down in the comment section down below. And please remember, my TF addicts, until next time, to get addicted, stay addicted, and TF addicts for life! This is TFA 1024, the TF Addict, rolling out until all is fun.